All right. Hello, Baker County. Welcome to the Press Pass, a weekly conversation about what's in the paper, what we're working on, what did make it to print, and what Baker County is asking about. I'm your host, Elizabeth, along with Jessica Pravat, our publisher here at the Press, and Joel Addington, our editor. All right, guys. So our icebreaker question for the day is, it's summer. Lots of people are going on vacations, traveling around. When you go on a road trip, what is your go-to snack, gas station snack?
I don't know.
I like salt and vinegar potato chips.
Oh, yeah.
I could eat bags of those. And I never thought I would be in like the energy drink phase. They scare me to death, honestly. But
Find one you like.
somebody talked to me into trying those Alanis that everybody loses their mind over.
I've heard.
And so occasionally I limit myself to once a week. They have a watermelon flavor that I love. And I could drink those every day. And the fact that they're low calorie makes it, I don't feel as guilty when I get it. But on the flip side, I do worry about my heart because the Harveys don't have good hearts. So,
Well, limiting to one a week is probably a good idea then. But no, my go-to is like you're saying, a salty snack, which would be the cheddar combos, and then like a Dr. Pepper or Coke or something like that. I could eat those all day, every day, and drive until I fall asleep.
Absolutely.
Well, you guys know I've always got a Red Bull somewhere around here. So that's watermelon is one of my favorite flavors, though. So love that. All right, so this week, one of our big stories we kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about was our housing discrimination story. So a pair of immigrant renters in McClenny were facing a rental increase to up to $2,000 a month, right?
Yeah, they were in Starling Grove, and they were told that their rent was going up to $2,000 from about $1,200 a month. Right. And obviously that is an insane rental rate, but from Starling Grove's perspective, these are brand new, spanking brand new apartments in an area where rental housing is very hard to find. Now the question is, well, are they going to be full up? What's their occupancy going to be after which I assume is now? I'm not sure what the deadline or when the increase was going to happen. But anyway, when these two gentlemen were looking for a new place, one of the potential tenants, or at least their broker, whoever was renting the place, asked for their birth certificates, which is a huge red flag and a violation of federal housing discrimination laws, which say that you can't discriminate based on where somebody was born, or their race, or their religion, or their gender. There's a long list of stuff that you can't ask them about. You can ask them about how much money they make, do they got a job, what's their credit score. You can ask them a lot of things that are germane to renting housing, but not all that other stuff.
Well, yes, because the Fair Housing Act is a little, I don't know, it's a good thing. It definitely came from a good place. But on the flip side, it's amazing how you can get around it. So, I mean, the idea is you don't discriminate no matter what. We literally have a list here at the office of what you can and cannot advertise in a rental ad if you do that. And so you can't say no kids, you can't say single family homes, but yet it provides a different way of wording that. And I mean, it's it protects a landlord from their property not being used properly. But on the flip side, it also, the point of it was to protect the tenants. So it's, I don't know. I will say, first and foremost, when it comes to getting involved in the rental industry, I don't have the time nor the patience. The housing problem is very real. I mean, it's hard enough to find a rental and then find a decent rental. I mean, and this is just what we hear from people day to day that are either calling, trying to get a leg up on, is there anything in the paper this week?
But even if you go online, I went on Zillow and, search rentals in McClenny, and there's about 4 to 8 listings. Some of them are not current, you know, so there's literally a handful of listings on one site. Maybe there's a half a dozen or something. If you were to compile all the lists together,
Right.
and I
Right.
mean that's not a lot for I don't know how many people are looking for rentals, but it's a lot. All
I
the
mean,
time,
and around
every
here, a
Right.
big issue I think is that, unless you're in an apartment complex or something, like you have to know people. You just have to like
Oh,
get
yeah.
word of mouth for houses and, things like that. It's like that's kind of where you get your in. But for people that are brand new,
Yeah, if you're a
moving there,
transplant,
yeah, it's like you
I
gotta
mean, you
take a chain.
you see on like a lot of those Facebook pages, somebody will post now. It's gotten to the point where they say, "Okay, I'm about to move out of this duplex, so it's going to be on the market. So here's your chance to jump in." And I mean, a lot of these people that own multiple rental units, they have waiting lists. I mean, I've had
Mhm.
family that had tried to find one, and
well,
there is a massive waiting list. And they also, I mean, and I can kind of see where locally there was for a long time, and I think there still is to a degree. There was a bad problem with these landlords who would rent to people, and these people have been evicted from multiple homes. And so they would go from this home to that home. They would leave damage and chaos behind them. And so that's part of what's changed the market out here, because these landlords, to avoid getting stuck in these situations, they've upped their deposits massively and basically trying to, it's kind of like discriminating legally.
well, but it's also a sort of a tax on everybody else because
Right.
of the conditions.
Right. I mean, it's kind of, it's a system that the downside of them causing it to be so expensive. I mean, somebody told me the other day, just to like move in a place, you've almost got to have $5,000 between your deposit, between a first and a last month rent. And the landlords are doing that to protect their property. But on the flip side, I mean, a good tenant with a decent job, you would have to save for years just to get enough to be able to move into a place. And in the meantime, you end up being, homeless.
And a lot of times these rentals are more than a mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
And with our rural home development loans that are available, I mean, you don't have to pay a down payment.
Right.
But because of credit history or whatever else the case may be, and they can't, then they're forced into these homes that are so expensive.
Yeah.
When they could buy a house for that.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of like we were discussing earlier, there's two issues here. There's housing discrimination, which happens on a daily basis. And I mean, just in that instance, specifically that you reported on this week, it's very almost blatant as to what
Yeah, I
was
think
happening.
there's such high demand that at least one rental property feels like they have carte blanche to discriminate based on where somebody was born. But obviously they run the risk of getting sued if that gets reported to the right.
Oh yes, because they will. I mean, the paper had a situation many years ago where Legal Aid found an ad in our paper, and this was before we were aware of what you could and couldn't advertise. I mean, we were just always obvious, so you couldn't be very blatant about stuff, discriminating. But
yeah, I'm sure we were just trying to advertise as the customer wanted the unit
exactly.
advertised.
I mean, if somebody said no pets, we put no pets. If somebody said, it's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath house, so therefore it needs to be a family with no kids, we didn't think twice about the fact that that discriminates. And the irony there was nobody reported them specifically, but Legal Aid found a newspaper that had an ad in it. They reported us. They reported the landlord. It cost the landlord a lot of money. It cost us just because then all of a sudden the newspaper staff had to sit through this long class about how to, or what you could and could not allow people, and what the Fair Housing Act specified. And I mean, and it's just one of those things as a newspaper, it just never crossed our mind. And to be fair, we're going back like 30, no, not 30 years. Probably 20, 25. I mean, it's been a long time since that happened, but the laws are the same.
Yeah. Fair housing laws have been in place since probably the 80s. So.
Yes. So, I mean, we learned a lot, and it gives you a new perspective. Just considering how some people take those ads. It's not as straightforward as we used to think it was.
Yeah.
So
So on that note of there being somewhat of a scarcity in rental availability and stuff, the city commission last week approved development for 52 apartments off of Woodlawn Road. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, 52 multifamily units planned for Woodlawn Road. And in addition to the apartments, the project also includes two commercial lots right there, that front Woodlawn, 3,600 square feet apiece. So some new commercial property, a lot of new multifamily apartment units. These are two-story buildings, I believe. I think 11-ish, 11 to 13. I can't remember the exact number of buildings. Two-story, 50 plus units. Should really help in terms of the local McClenny housing supply, in terms of expanding the supply, and hopefully that will lead to downward pressure on prices. That's generally how economics works.
yeah, it's a supply and demand. I mean, you've got, and it kind of almost sounds like the townhomes, like the American way townhomes, which those have some kind of budget.
Yeah, those are income. You can only make X number of dollars your
Right.
household to be able to rent there. If you earn more than that, you're not eligible.
Right. But these aren't that type of housing. But you're right. I think just having more options. I mean, having the Starling Grove Apartments build, that provided a massive amount of options or number of options compared to what we had before. But on the flip side, they're also kind of pricing themselves out of the market. I mean, this is a rural area.
Well, yeah, we're getting 50 plus new units, but it also depends on how much those units are renting for, whether it's
Right.
$2,000 a month or
Right.
And we
more.
don't know that yet.
Well, and there's obviously that's up to the whoever builds and eventually owns this property is going to decide what the rent is.
Do you think them being right next door to Starling Grove will impact what they choose as their fees?
Oh, I'm sure they'll be competing for the same market of people looking for rental housing.
Well, that might be good for the renters then.
I mean, and which I guess the potential, if it's like a slightly larger townhome situation, then you could be looking at the like more 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom maybe, because that's something I see a lot. They've got larger families, they need more bedrooms, or situations where it seems like nowadays, and I'm sure a lot of this is just the economy in general, it's multi-generational families. So you have mom and dad with maybe one of them's parents that are living with them, and then you've got kids and even potentially grandkids. I mean, you've got larger families looking for these places to live.
But yeah, apartments and duplexes and townhomes. I mean, people with large families like that, they need a large 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom house.
Yes.
Which is really hard to come by in terms of affordability. But that's why you're seeing multiple families in the same house, because you have 2 or 3 family income, household income,
just to cover expenses
to afford that particular property. Right. So hopefully in the future more units will be built. Hopefully there will be some changes made at the state and local level to make homes more affordable as well. We've been working on that story, so you can check that out in this week's edition as well.
Yeah.
Gonna let everybody know, which we have it in our calendar of events. I mentioned it in the loop, but we wanted to talk a little bit about summer programs. There's a lot going on that's available, and so no one can say there's nothing to do.
There's so much to do in Baker County. I mean, between just the outdoor recreation, there's a lot of organizations.
Yeah, a lot of nonprofits, a lot of school-related folks, a lot of public library, Emily Tabor Public Library. Shout out to them and their weekly programs every Tuesday. Obviously, we got the YMCA and they got the pool open and Splash It Away. I think they do daily workouts there. I think 8 to 10 with the YMCA and high school Wildcats swim team kids. I can't remember.
Yeah, the swim team. Well, the swim team is practicing like 8 to 10. They're Barracudas, their local swim team for the younger kids. They're still taking kids for that, and that's already probably practicing. And they got, I think, a new coach there. The Y is doing a lot. I noticed with their kind of reemergence in the community, they have the pool obviously, which they do like their aquatics workouts and stuff. It's
Yeah, I
like
think after
seniors.
the teams and the athletes get out of the pool, that's when the community activities start.
Right. They have a whole bunch of different types, like silver sneakers and workouts for senior citizens. And I was talking to Melinda at the health fair, the women's club health fair at the fairgrounds Saturday, and she was talking about, and I didn't realize this. If you're like your insurance and you're a senior citizen, even Medicare and stuff, some of those different parts that you can add on to it, it covers your Y membership, and so you can go take advantage of their silver sneakers. They have like this aquatic senior workout. I don't know what it's called, and I apologize now.
Yeah,
But
using the water
yeah,
resistance.
kind of like water aerobics, but it's
Yeah.
for seniors. But they also have just open swim for kids that want to go splash around and play. They're doing swim lessons. I did find out that they got a grant. They had the CDC, I think, is who issues these grants. They got a grant to provide free swim lessons for every second grader in Baker County.
That's awesome.
Because basically they came out, they looked at their setup, they looked at what they do, and they were like, absolutely, we will give you the money. So that's something that they're going to be doing, which is highly needed. I mean, we don't have many tragic incidences out here, but they do happen. And I mean, what kind of made me think of it is there was one in Jacksonville just last week.
Yeah, recently, I mean, basically any body of water that's not gated and protected is a risk of a child, usually a young child that doesn't know any better, wandering and, playing in the water and then, unfortunately falling in and drowning. And if nobody's around to stop them or save them, it ends in tragedy, and that's horrible. And it hasn't happened here, thankfully, in several years. But definitely water safety, getting kids comfortable with the water and making sure that they know water safety.
Right.
How to float on their backs, not to swim alone, those kind of things, golden rules for sure.
Yeah, because we did swim lessons with my youngest, and his thing was the whole point of the swim lesson was if they fall in, they know what to do to get to the edge, to be able to get out. And that was like the first things they taught them, which I thought was kind of cool. I'd never really thought about swim lessons being that, but like they said, the initial thing is just if they fall in, how to get to the edge and not panic to get out. But I mean, the Y has the pool. They're offering a lot of cool things there. They're also doing a whole bunch of things at the Keller gymnasium and that campus.
I think I saw a Tai Chi video yesterday.
Yeah, they've got all kinds of neat things, and it's like randomly through different times of the day and everything. So, I mean, we've got our calendar of events with that, and then the teacher was a district teacher of the year, Mr. Quentin Taylor at Legacy. Right. He's created this mobile library, and so they're going to different places around the county to where kids can check out books, so that way they don't stop reading. Got the Legacy Library mobile checkout. We'll have those stops because it kind of rotates in different places around the county. I think it's every Tuesdays when he's out with his little mobile bookmobile. And then there's even the 4-H and Extension. They have some super cool week-long camps. I think, Liz, you went and covered they were doing DNA testing.
Yeah, I went yesterday, and it's a week-long thing that they're doing. And it was basically they had caught a bear poacher, and they were trying to find out the criminal, and all of the kids were suspects.
Oh, wow.
And so they were doing fingerprinting, they did boot prints, they were testing DNA when I was there. It was really cool. And they were all very suspicious of each other, so it was really funny.
I bet. And I mean, I'm just looking at their schedule, which they're on Facebook. They have their next one will be Budding Artist in July, and then they're doing a Brick Masters. I'm assuming that's a Lego camp, but the Budding Artist looks kind of cool. I mean, it's utilizing styles of art with horticulture. They're talking about fairy gardens and cool stuff like that.
Yeah, painting with fruit and vegetables. I thought that sounded pretty cool.
And then the library is bringing a magician. They've got a magician and you also covered the library program.
I did. I've been busy this week.
Yeah, so they had a bunch of different animals. I saw some scaly and some furry.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Blah.
Very, very excited kids. They had over 100 kids, which I think Jessica Cruz, the director over there, she was saying that it was one of their biggest ones. And yeah, they gave all the kids blueberries, and they let a lemur run around and eat the blueberries, and it was the coolest thing. And so yeah, definitely check those out. I mean, they're free. It's like an hour of your time.
Tuesday, 10 a.m.
Kids will never get to be
Right.
that close to a lemur.
And they're at the fairgrounds this year.
They're at the
right?
fairgrounds, so
Okay.
yeah, plenty of parking, easy to get in and out. And yeah, next week they're gonna have a comedian magician, so should be a good time.
That will be. I've gone to a few of those over the years. I remember my mother taking me to libraries, summer
Me too.
library programs.
Yeah.
These date back to the days of.
We used to have it at the women's club when I went. When I was
When
little.
I went, it was still at the library. Of course, that's just telling my age. And it was nothing on the scale of what it is now. It was simply, and we looked forward to it, Miss Peggy McCollum, who actually has her name on the side of the building because of all her time and investment with the library. But Miss Peggy just did a summer reading. And she would just sit there and read a book. And we loved it. We didn't have to have all the bells and whistles. She picked the most interesting books. And for us, it was always exciting because we got to go listen to a cool book. And then we got to check out books for the week. And we had all week to read them, which mine usually maybe lasted me a day and a half. And I was done with them. But it's kind of cool because I happened to go to the library yesterday to get my library card fixed. It wasn't working online, and they've turned it into like a prehistoric jungle. I mean, like down to they have dinosaur footprints on the floor and vines and ivy. It's really cool. I mean, it's a great place to take the kids. Number one, they have AC, so you can go walk around. You can find plenty of books. It's a neat thing. And then with what they're doing now, and then two, they've got the online access. So there's so much to do, and really very few legitimate excuses to say there's nothing to do around here. Get outside. I know it's hot, but there's hikes. You have Ocean Pond. I mean, if you're feeling very brave.
Shoals Park.
Yeah, Shoals Park. I was out there a couple of weekends ago. The dirt bike riding, the ATVs, and now we've had rain, so there's a little more water in the river. So go play in the river a little bit. It's a great way to cool off.
One of our user submitted questions last week was, how can Baker County manage growth and new development while preserving its rural character, agricultural heritage, wild spaces, quality of life, all those kind of things?
That's a very loaded question.
It is, but there is an easy answer, and that is, I mean, we have zoning for a reason, and there's a lot of various zoning categories that Baker County has that limit density of housing for one, but a lot of other things like whether you can have horses or whether various other agricultural uses to your property. So when somebody comes in and says, I'd like to rezone my Ag 7 or Ag 5 property to residential half-acre zoning or residential 1 acre zoning or whatever the case may be, you can say no.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they've actually had the conversation multiple times, it seems like recently, regarding spot zoning. So the county created this comprehensive plan years ago where they basically said, okay, we want the growth in this section.
They literally
we don't want it here.
They literally drew a line around McClenny and let's say Mary and said, this is where we want the dense multifamily half-acre zoning to be. And then outside that circle, there's supposed to be this, 1 acre to 5 acre zoning. And then, of course, you get out. That's where you get the 7, 10 acre.
Right.
But you're getting a lot of these 7, 10 acre tracts that people are buying and then want to rezone for that smaller, more dense residential, and particularly if it's agricultural land, if it's pasture land, or if it's farmland. If it's a working farm, you're not generally not going to see that
Right.
until the family farm struggles so much that they have to sell everything.
Well, and that's kind of some of what you're starting to see are the county, especially in the outlying areas, you have a lot of just large landowners. Now, a lot of that's timber, rayonier and stuff, and they're starting to
But they're
break
carving it up
theirs.
for
Yeah,
residential
they're
too.
starting to carve, but they're doing it in big lots, which I think, kind of does what this question says, the rural character, the ag heritage. They're 10 plus acre lots. They're all typically on a hard road frontage. Um, and people that are buying those large pieces they're doing it to get out to in that rural area. But then you have, like some parcels, and I'm thinking of like out 121 south of Legacy and the state hospital, where there's those two big PUDs with hundreds of homes. And this is like the cookie cutter, tiny lots, lots of homes, density. And that's not where I want it. I mean, that's a little closer to my house out in that direction. And of course, I start thinking traffic, but
But
that is outside of what the county planners said where we want this. But yet they did approve it. So,
yeah, they had to fight. I mean, the city of
mhm,
McClenny did not want to approve it. They had to, basically do a legal fight to get them to say, okay, you can develop this property, as you're saying, in these sort of traditional Florida subdivision type developments.
which I
But
think they're still fighting about that out there. The golf course has been approved, but I've noticed they've not turned any dirt there.
they have not. And at the end of the day, you're talking about there is only so much vacant land, and
Hmm.
and if you do want to build more housing, get more units, bring down prices, there's got to be a happy medium in there somewhere.
Right. But I mean, the whole supply and demand, a lot of people are moving to Florida. I think one thing you have to, and I can't remember who I spoke with in the last week or two, kind of talking about these large landowners, giving them an incentive to keep the land versus developing it or selling it to a developer. It's not that many of them, they don't want to develop it themselves. They have a developer come to them and say, "Hey, I want to buy that 150 acres
Well, the
because I
state
have
of
a vision."
The state of Florida will give such property owners a lot of money, millions of dollars. They already have in Sanderson, South
Right.
Palm
Yeah.
Plantation.
Yeah.
That landowner got, I think it was $5 to $6 million to say, I'm going to keep this agricultural property. And we're talking about 2,000, 2,500 acres worth of
Right.
land. It's not any
Right.
small chunk of property. But
Right.
so the state is already doing that to preserve those kind of lands. Now, what you can do at a local level, at the county level, there are other things that can be done, I would
Yeah.
say.
But I do think they need to stay true to their comp plan, what they said. And if they're going to start allowing the development, trying to encourage the larger parcels, because I think that does, a 5 or 10 acre parcel is going to be a lot better than half acre, quarter acre, 1 acre, even.
And that sort of has been the happy medium, I would say, in the last couple of years, in terms of what the county has been approving in the
Hmm.
more remote areas of the county are those larger lots, and well, we haven't seen any 50-foot lots or even half
Right,
acre
not that
lots
far
on
out.
a large scale.
Right.
I guess probably the closest place would be just north of the town of Glen St. Mary,
Hmm.
the
Which that one
Burnham
hasn't started building out either.
hasn't even cleared out yet.
Yeah.
But those are the smaller lots that you're seeing planned, at least
Hmm.
just outside of city limits, town limits. I would say before you get to the really remote rural areas of Baker
Right.
County.
And I think too, another really important thing is when these developers come in, kind of like this Midpoint Commons property over here, I think is a good one. That's a planned unit development. They've got all different types of things. They got the commercial, they got the industrial. So they're bringing jobs, they're bringing shopping options, and they're bringing lots of homes, which they're not bringing anything right now because nothing's been approved. But I mean, those types of developments, there's green space built in. There's a lot of different things that they build in and that they add, park space, like the Nehemiah's Court has like a park space.
Yeah, you
And
have some innovative developers that are trying to answer this question by saying, let's do both in a tighter area, more dense area. Setting aside 5-ish acres for a community farm space versus everybody having their own farm.
Yeah.
So there are some solutions to this problem that the question poses that are in the works now. But in terms of what else we could do, there's always more you can do to preserve um, that way of lifestyle that people enjoy today by saying no, freezing things in time in amber, and not doing those innovative kind of things that where we're seeing pop up here and there, but certainly is not widespread.
I mean, to me, the commissioners need to look at the quality of the developments first and foremost, not just look at the potential amount of houses coming to the county. And I think with all this property tax discussion, that's going to kind of push them to do that, because more people means more expenses, more costs to the county.
Certainly.
And if we don't have impact fees, then that's really going to put them in a hole. But if they really hold the developers' feet to the fire, say, okay, you want to bring 30, 40, 50 homes only. I mean, up to the larger numbers, and say, but if you're going to do that, we want green space. We want this. We want paved roads. We want sidewalks.
Trees would be nice.
Exactly. Just make them do it right. And I think that's kind of a twofold thing. One, you're going to have you're making it a little more costly for them. So they're going to think twice about, do I want to invest? Because essentially that's what you're asking them to do, invest. And so it's less profit, because that may be potentially 2 houses that they could put there instead of a park. But they're investing in the community. So if they do get the approval, then it's
I would hope they would see that as like making it easier to sell the remaining lots, given that amenity, versus having to sell 2 more lots.
Exactly. So I mean,
hopefully it does work on both sides.
Right. I think that you could potentially discourage developers that are simply in it for a profit, because I mean everybody's,
and those developers would probably just pass that along, right? To whatever loss they took on those 2 lots, they would just add it amongst the other lots.
They're not going to lose money. I mean, these big developers, they didn't become big developers because they lose money.
Well, and at the end of the day, we're talking about, what is the role of local government in the business of building homes? And, one may argue that government does not have a role in picking winners and losers in the business of building homes.
That's true. I think if they set standards and they stick to them, the county commission has a tendency to waive the requirements.
And they often do. They a lot of their own rules.
They do. But I mean, if they would set a line in the sand and say, you have to meet this requirement. And like I said, if they really, I feel like these developers, if they tell them, what are you going to give us? If we're going to let you do this, what are you going to do for our community? What are you going to, and I think, if you set the standards high enough, then when you get a development, you get a higher quality development that does not cause issues for the county solely.
Yeah, I guess in an ideal world, we would have an abundant or surplus of these quality developments, therefore driving down the price of said developments to make them more affordable to regular working folks like teachers and cops.
That's it.
Nurses and whatnot.
But I think, yes, it's all about staying within what they planned to start with. And then if they're going to let them in, then they need to make sure that they're not bending the rules and missing opportunities.
Yeah, so hopefully in there somewhere there's an answer to that question.
Yes. We kind of talked all the way around it and up
there we go. Yep, for sure. All right, so if you guys are watching this right now, make sure that you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, and hit that like button, leave us a comment, all the things. You want to tell them a little bit about some other stuff to plug?
Hey, we've done all sorts of stuff. Joel, tell them about your weekender for subscribers.
Yeah, totally. What you're going to get on Friday evening in the weekender email from me directly to subscribers is a look at likely headlines for the next week's edition. Essentially what either probably mostly it's whatever happened Tuesday that was newsworthy that didn't make it into that week's edition, plus whatever has happened since then. So,
In addition to the Weekender, which, as I said, if you're a subscriber digitally, you get that via email, and you can sign up on our website at bakercountypress.com. But we also offer an obituary newsletter.
these are the free newsletters.
These are free. All you have to do is sign up for and subscribe to them. So we send out updates 3 times a week. So when the funeral homes submit obituary to us, we post it on the website on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. It goes out to you, so that way you don't miss a service that you would have attended had you known. We also do top 5 stories. We record a video on Thursdays that goes out for free. That's just basically highlighting the top 5 stories in this week's edition.
The must reads.
Yes, and it's our top 5. Some people may have 5 stories they prefer because there's a lot of stories in the paper.
Yeah, these are like the 5 that we want you to read.
Yes, we feel like these are the most important, impactful stories. So that goes out, and then we've added the Loop, which goes out on Wednesdays. That's a more casual edition of the news in the newspaper, shorter tidbits.
More conversational tone, more lighthearted tone, very entertaining.
Yeah.
Pulls in a lot of humor and video. Very, very good newsletter. I'd encourage everybody to sign up if you haven't already.
And it also gives you kind of those things to do. Everybody wants to know what to do. So, Liz does a really good job at bringing in what's going on. So when you're looking for plans for the afternoons, evenings, or weekends, you need to be in the loop.
Yeah, and also in the loop that I noticed this week was a bit of history. And they say newspapers are the first draft of history. So now we're sort of recycling that into the digital age.
Hey, and I mean, we've got an awful lot to offer considering
Archives that go deep.
They do. I mean, we're rolling up on 100 years faster than I would care to admit.
Story for another day.
Yes, but I mean, hey, there's a lot of options. We want to make sure the community gets the news, that they get informed. And so the idea and our goal is to reach people where they want to get their news, whether that be the newspaper every week, and there's a fair amount of people that still want to flip through that and get their fingers black with the ink, or if you want it digitally, you can subscribe to the e-edition and download the paper. You can nitpick what articles you want to read depending on the section. If you're a sports guy and that's all you care about, you can subscribe and just read the sports. But there's additional options for those who want the shorter reads, the shorter tidbits, and they just want to be in the know. So definitely go to the website, bakercountypress.com, click on that little box at the top, and sign up for the newsletters that you want to get.
Thanks for joining us for the Press Podcast, episode 2.
Thank you, guys.